Hey friends, Rick from BCW Supplies inviting you to join me as I travel across the United States visiting with local hobby stores and having a conversation with them. From gaming stores to comic shops to sports, collectibles, and more. We will take a look at the origins up to the present day events of the store, and if we're lucky, maybe a glimpse into the future as BCW shines the spotlight on their store and their stories. So please join me as we hit the road to the BCW Spotlight. Hey friends, Rick from BCW Supplies here with a BCW Spotlight, and this time we're at Darkhold Games in Eaton, Ohio, joined by Roger and April. Guys, thanks for joining us. Thank you for allowing us to come out and do this. Roger, how did you get started in gaming?
A long time ago, in a world far, far away. Oh, wait, that's copyrighted.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, I picked up a battle mech about my senior year of high school, and learned to play BattleTech from the guys from Real Partha that used to make the miniatures.
Wow.
Which would be, well, the same company kind of still makes them, just the second generation of it. Yeah, I learned from them, and hanging around those guys. They used to go to all the Gen Cons and new games like this, neat little game called Magic.
Just a small little game now.
Yeah, hardly anybody played, at the time.
Right.
Things like, Rifts, they taught us, playing D&D and stuff like that. So they introduced me to this whole realm of games that was beyond Monopoly and Scrabble.
Wow.
That I didn't know existed until I picked up one little miniature in a shop.
So the miniature gotcha, and they get us all. So tell us a little bit about Darkhold. We are currently in the original location of Darkhold. Mm-hmm. I know because we talked beforehand that you guys are planning on making a move. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But when did you guys open? What was your primary focus, and how has that grown over your 4 years?
We opened here July of 2017.
Okay.
We started out a little bit before that doing conventions.
Okay.
Animaticon was our first actual sales event.
Okay.
We still do that convention. We do several others, Steampunk Symposium, things like that. Get into those a little later, I guess. But that led to opening up a store, and we had looked around. We moved up to Eaton that February, and we had actually already been working on opening a store, and we just hadn't settled on a location until we decided, hey, we're going to move up to Eaton. We looked around, and there was a need.
Okay.
The area was what I would call underserved. People had to go at least half an hour away for anything, sometimes further depending on what it was, because you'd hit specialty stores that only had a few items here and there. When I started gaming, you go in, you get board games, role-playing games, RC cars, I mean, there's everything, but what we were seeing was mostly like card shops, a little bit of games, things like that, and we wanted to bring the whole experience to the area, and there was nothing circling us with that around, so we decided to set up here.
Okay.
And we had a couple friends that started helping us out, and we thought we'd be a sleepy little store.
Okay, fair. I mean, to be fair, most stores that do start with that, we're testing the water, we have a vision, and for you guys, it wasn't a slow, steady increase. It just, no.
About 2 months we were that way, and then it's gone from there, because there was more need and more want in the area than we realized.
Wow.
Part of that, the county library started having a Comic-Con in town.
Okay.
And found out there were anime clubs at the schools and game clubs starting up at the schools and all this, and they were looking for support.
Right.
And that way we could provide that to them.
Nice.
Events, there's a Campicon that we do at Hand Camp America over by Houston Woods. That's called Geek Out, and we do that every year, except when
the year that shall not be mentioned.
Yes. But we do that. We run games at that. We run games, like I said, at the Steampunk Symposium and Animaticon. Those cons, we run events. We vend right from the game room.
Okay.
So when everything else shuts down to spend money at, we're still open.
And that is when people spend money.
But we also provide free games for people to play, so they can come in, pick up a board game, and play it. We run some games, like we'll do Magic drafts and things like that. That way, people at the cons that want to have that gaming fix can stop in, have the gaming fix, not have to leave the facility.
Okay.
So they don't have to drive somewhere and then drive back and lose time from their convention. So we do a lot of that with those types of events, which helps them out, gives them frees up staff.
Right.
We provide our own staff, our own security, everything for what we do.
Awesome.
And that way they just check on us every once in a while and make sure we need anything, and it works out great. And that's kind of how we got our start with getting our name out, was at these conventions. We spoke earlier about like Gen Con and things. We've actually skipped some bigger conventions like that to support our hometown conventions. Those to us are more important. So we miss out on all the big glitz and glamour, but we have fun with our local people. So
and it's a deep root thing, especially with so many different unique elements and events, and not just being hyper focused on one side of the gaming industry like a collectible card store. You have more things that you're open to, where it's board games or miniatures, role playing. So you really cover the gamut of all of the big categories, and even some of the smaller, more specialized ones that are near and dear, like BattleTech, for example. There's not a lot of stores that still support BattleTech, and not that it's not a great game, it's just not as glitzy or glamorous as something put out by GW, in my opinion. But it's still a great, fun game. So that was awesome to see, to actually come in and see BattleTech and just be like, oh, okay, wow, that's awesome. As somebody, I dabbled in a lot of different games, collectible card games, probably where I got my start, but really, you cater to every addiction I have here. That's so nice. I appreciate that.
And that's the whole idea.
Well, yeah.
We've started carrying the Bolt Action.
Okay.
Which is a kind of a GW scale World War II model game. We picked up the World of Tanks the new game from it, which is a different type of game. I'm used to doing micro armor, so I'm used to having the little small lead tanks. It's different, but it's fun, and people are enjoying it. They recognize the name. It's easier for people to connect with that than you telling them what micro armor is.
Right.
It's a different generation. And like the BattleTech, we have every other week we have campaigns going on in the store. And it's a big draw. They're gaining people every session they have. So things like that, and that's why we wanted to bring that in, because a lot of people in an area may not even know so many games exist. Somebody came in the other day and they were just about having their head blow up because they looked around and they didn't realize there were so many games that they could play. So we wanted to be an all-around store. While we both play Magic and like it, and this sounds kind of bad at first, but we only wanted it to ever be 25% of our income. Not because we wanted it to be a lower percentage, but we wanted to bring in more variety so that while that's still a big game for us, we wanted to have that much more product and that much more variety to where it brought it into that. Plus, more eggs in the basket, as it were, to cover more things for everybody.
Right, and markets go up and markets go down, and if you're spread out across it, something dips, odds are something else is rising. So you're in a prime position. Now, with all these different games and all these different categories, board games, miniatures, role-playing, collectible card games of all shapes, sizes, and varieties, how do customers connect within your community? Like, how do they find out about your organized play? What night you guys have stuff going on? How do you guys get the word out?
Well, word of mouth is huge.
Okay.
Especially we're in a rural community, rural county seat. Word of mouth is huge. people driving down the street see the name. We have parades go right by the building. That has been no small thing. When you watch teenagers for their high school marching band, they're holding the banner and they're looking, and their heads whip over while they're marching. They're looking sideways. That helps a lot. We have a Facebook presence, which sometimes goes over and into Instagram when we have pictures, which most of the time. We have a Discord, which is upwards of 200 people representing at least 4 countries that we know of.
Wow.
Our Discord isn't just for a private little group. It's for local gamers to find each other.
Okay.
And in some cases, the way we got the extra countries really is we ran the Flesh and Blood skirmish online, and we had 32 people play online from 4 different countries that we know of, that we counted. And some of them still keep connected in there to see what's going on and everything. If we offer any more online games, they'll still play. So that has been a big plus for us, especially in the time that we won't mention. We already had that developing. So while a lot of stores were trying to figure out how do we get people on our Discord, we were trying to help them, let them know it takes time. There's no way to force people to do it.
Right.
Because they thought everybody should just jump in. It took us a year or more to start building that even up to 100.
Okay.
But that's one of the big places because we can just communicate and talk with our customers. They talk with each other. If they have questions, they just post them. Your other social medias, a lot of them kind of need more professional polish on your posts, so it takes a little longer to get information out because you have to put this in and make it look good and all that. Where with Discord, it's just like, hey, our draft is going to be this week, and you can just say it and be done with it. And if they have questions, they just ask you back.
And see, that Discord is an amazing platform that I think is underused, because on Facebook, on Twitter, you're talking to somebody's timeline, unless you're direct messaging them. And I don't know about you guys, but I follow a lot of different genres of gaming and stores and products and family members, and stuff gets lost. But in Discord, I'm going somewhere specific and I'm able to see or ask a direct question, get a direct answer. I really like more stores moving to it, and I've noticed that trend, but I think that was because of the year that shall not be named. But it is a great communication tool. It's just hard to get the word out that you have a Discord. So, is your Discord server linked on your Facebook page, on your website? All right, awesome. And that's probably the best way for people to find it and get invited and get involved. So, we've talked a little bit about your organized play. We've talked about how people can plug in. The last question I have for you, and I know because we talked a little bit, like we said before this, I know you guys are preparing for a big move, and I'm excited because I want to come back and visit the new one, the new store location. But can you tell us a little bit about what you foresee the future being for Darkhold Games?
Well, the future, assuming everything goes well, as the time where we're doing this, we're still working on code and zoning, getting all that up to par. We're purchasing the Eaton Armory, which is basically a castle. 110 years old, and it was built for the National Guard. And we're also a National Guard family, so there's kind of 2 forks in the future. We're caretaking a piece of history for the community. We may not have been born here, may not have grown up here, but it means something to us, partly because our oldest son, Andrew, is in the National Guard.
Okay.
So to us, repairing and bringing the building back means something personally. Caretaking a piece of history, period. This is a very important piece of history for this community. They actually have social media dedicated toward it and toward the tank that the community had, showing how much they care about those things. So it's not just about moving a store.
Right.
So we've got a lot of work to do, but the goal is to move the store into that facility, moving from about 3,000 to 4,000 square foot to roughly 15,000 square foot under roof.
Wow.
The parking lot actually would seat the store and the play area.
Nice. Nice. That's a big parking lot. Ample parking.
Yeah, it gives us a dedicated. There's some off street and some other options around, but the building's it's beautiful going in there and seeing that old building. Not all of it will be dedicated to gaming. We're going to make a museum section for the building history and for veterans in the area.
Awesome.
So, like I said, we're moving in kind of two parallel directions in a way. They both have to do with taking care of that facility, and then the old training rooms, storage rooms. Actually, it used to be horse cavalry. So people will be playing in what used to be basically the horse stalls.
Nice.
Because some of it has been redone and widened out into like one room type of thing and everything. So we have space set aside for that. The old drill floor, which is the size of a basketball gym, and currently is a basketball gymnasium, is where we're going to put our store, because you've seen the store, it's full.
Yep. Yes.
Okay, without taking away from our play space, we can't expand the store anymore where we're at, unless we try to take over someone else's space, which would be a hostile takeover, not too friendly.
Yeah.
So we can't really do that here. As much as I want to plug the Masons in the area, they've been probably the best landlords I could ever ask for. They've worked with us during the bad times.
Yeah.
And we try to help them out in the good times. It has really been a partnership, almost more than just a rent type thing. But we really can't expand here. So that gives us space. In that space, we'll probably use about a third of that open space, but it also gives us, if we have a large tournament and we need something for 50, 60, 100 people or something like that, we should be able to just put them up there without even moving the sales floor. If we really needed something large, we're going to try to just set the sales floor up so we can just push it out of the way.
Right.
And contract that and get more people if we needed that space. So it gives us a lot more options. It allows people, if they want to have a birthday party, there's the old dining area that they can sign that out for a birthday party. People want to come play D&D, they can get a breakout room for a D&D. We're going to have gaming tables set up with LED screens inset into them.
Oh, wow.
So people can play their games. If you want to play Magic on it, play Magic on it. If you want to play Flesh and Blood, play Flesh and Blood. You can pull up and stream the games that are going on somewhere else on that screen if you want to. If you don't want to use it for your game, feel free to stream on it.
Awesome.
So we're going to make those things available to people and try to give people a combination of, modern technology and modern ability within the framework of a piece of history.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, I mean, it really does fit well, because when you were telling me about it, it's Darkhold Games and you're in a castle. So, I mean, that
yeah,
aesthetically is perfect, but the fact that, one, you're building deeper roots within the community, you're giving back to the history of what it was while moving it forward for the community as well. Hats off to you. I mean, that is a huge undertaking. I can't wait to hear about it being finished and definitely coming out. I know I'm excited because I do live relatively close by, and that this has been an amazing trip, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for allowing me to come out here. Thank you for participating in this interview, and thank you so much for sharing your history with us. So, Roger, April, thank you. And to all of you, remember, when it comes to collecting, storing, or displaying your hobbies or collectibles, BCW has you covered.